Utah at USC. Utah has owned USC, man. This is really kind of crazy, and I I don't think people realize how Utah has owned USC over the last couple of years. But and we're coming off of a week where Utah just scored in the 30s too, so I don't know what's going on there. Um, Utah's kind of like a West Coast Iowa light, right? Offense hasn't been very good. Cam Rising's been out every week. Every show on the internet is talking about he might be back. He's not coming back. Okay, Cam Rising is probably not coming back this year. So it is what it is. Um, Look, it's hard for me to see what I saw last week from USC on the lines of scrimmage and think that they're about to physically match up with a team like Utah. Cam Rising or no Cam Rising, I'm sorry, but that USC couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. Okay, these lines of scrimmage were bad. Actually, I think, and I'll say this disclaimer: I'll give USC a little bit of props. Where there's like the only thing I could give them props on. I thought that their defensive line played the best game of the year for this USC defense last week. It just was overshadowed by an absolute ass kicking that they took. Right, so um, I I am not. There's no way in good conscience I could take USC minus 6.5. There is just no way. I'm taking Utah plus 6.5 here, and I think if anything, they can definitely keep this thing close. But a lot of people think, oh, it's like, oh, this is going to be a get right game for USC. So what? They lose a game, and now I'm supposed to be more scared of USC because they lost a game and got their ass kicked by Notre Dame. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't register in my mind. And I think it's some of the foolishness thought process that causes people and bettors to fade the public, right?
Yeah.
So give me Utah and give me those points. What is the over under on this? You want to pull up those numbers and give us what you found on the numbers and kind of give us your take on this thing. And but before we do that, real quick, folks, if you don't mind, give us a thumbs up real quick. I appreciate all of y'all tuning in. We do this a few times a week, talk college football, and we're so glad that you're here with us. And hope that you enjoy the content that we're providing because we're just doing it for fun and we're just having some fun. So thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, let's see those numbers and let's get those picks. What you thinking about that one, Mason?
Sorry, man. I got it. I got a trigger finger over here. I jumped the gun on that before we got enough thumbs up. That's right.
56 over under on that.
56 is the over and under, which is a pretty good number, I think, for me, because I really want to play the under on this. I don't think that USC's offense has been all that it was cracked up to be. They're scoring 47.3 points per game, but a lot of that is that a lot of those numbers came from earlier opponents. The past 2 weeks against Arizona, which looks like a pretty good team right now, so I'm not going to give them too much flack for not scoring a bunch against Arizona, but and then also against Notre Dame, who's got a pretty good defense. But I think that Utah matches up with Notre Dame's defense pretty stinking well. So to think that USC is going to come in and score, 50 points this week, if you think that, I think you're just fooling yourself. Now on the flip side, Utah's not very good at scoring either. So to me, I think that the under is the safest play here. Utah is the really in the lower pack when it comes to scoring. Again, you mentioned not having Cam Rising. That's a huge detriment to them. But that they have been able to get a lot of turnovers. I guess that may be one thing you look at. Maybe they get some turnovers and they're able to score off of that. Maybe special teams comes into play, but I still really like the under here. With all that being said, and I do think that USC could win this ball game just because I don't feel like Utah has much of a pulse on offense, and I think that USC, it could be a get right game, but a get right game for USC might be scoring 27 points and beating Utah 27-23 this week. That could end up happening, but yeah, I think that USC has the better offense clearly, and I feel like they're going to be able to get it done this week. I know it. Utah in the past has been able to come away with a win, and I would kind of like to see it in a way. I think that USC plays a very boring style of football, both sides of the football, and it's not what I expected. When I was watching the USC Notre Dame game in the first half, and I mentioned it on last night's show, but I wanted to turn it off. It was not exciting to me. I did not enjoy watching that game, and I just had to stop for a second. And it was still a ball game at this point, and I just had to say, man, this is USC and freaking Notre Dame, and I want to turn it. While it's still a ball game. Notre Dame hadn't put it away at that point, and I did not enjoy watching that game. USC has kind of let me down as an offense in that sense. And, they've been pretty bad to watch. I'll be completely honest with you on that. And, you mentioned the defensive line. I do like what they're doing on the defensive line. And I see Sieg's comment there. I do like what USC is doing on the defensive line. They are rushing the passer really well. Good for third in the country in tackles for loss at 58. Maybe a little bit more of that continues against Utah, but Utah gets a lot of tackles for a loss as well. So may the better offensive line win, I guess, in that category at least. But yeah, I've already told you my pick. I've got USC winning the game. And I might have them to cover, but I think the best bet on here is going to be the underplay. I think this game's going to be scored in the high 40s, low 50s at most, and that's going to give you a safe cover. Under 56 would be my play here, Mark.
Yeah, I like the under. I do. Like I said, I'm not betting on USC to cover almost a touchdown spread here on a team that they haven't beaten a while. I mean, it's been a while. So yeah, no, I got to see some physicality from USC because that was a poor performance that we saw from them last week, and I kind of understand what you're saying about how you didn't want to turn it or you didn't want to watch that game. I kind of felt like that, but then at the same time, it was like, God, I cannot turn this channel. Like it was like
Yeah.
it's like a car wreck that I had to look at it. I just had to look at it.
You had
I
the
don't know.
rubberneck.
I did, man. I hit the brakes. I pulled over. I took pictures. Like I was totally insensitive about the car wreck.